Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
Truthfully, when I heard the news, my first response was, this is the best Christmas ever. And my second one was, this is too good to be true. It has been an emotional week.
A Vietnam veteran and native Odessan is posthumously returning to Texas. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll hear from his family on what this return means to them. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW. And thank you to those of you joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube channel. I'm Mary Kate Hamilton. We start tonight with your weekend weather forecast because changes are on the way and they are coming quickly. Let's check in, I should say, with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller. Tom?
You're just thinking about that cold parade forecast, okay, that we have coming up for you. In fact, let's take a look at it. It's the Jingle Bell Jubilee over in Midland. And the Christmas parade coming up tomorrow evening about 6:30 or so. We're looking for temperatures about 47 degrees. It's going to be a bit breezy out there because you're going to need those jackets, the coats, the gloves, the hats, because wind chill values will be down into the 30s. It's going to be weather's going to be clear for the most part, but it is going to be cold, so keep that in mind coming up for tomorrow evening. No wind hazards. Everything has expired out there in the way of strong winds, and there's a community Christmas tree over in Odessa. Beautiful night, not much wind. It's all back here around Guadalupe Pass up towards the Carlsbad area, gust up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. It's going to come around the west, but it's going to come around to the north later on as we're seeing those temperatures again into the lower 60s out there at the present time. So again, cold stuff is on the way as we're going to see this next cold front roll into the area.
Tom, like you said, thinking about that cold parade forecast tomorrow is the City of Midland's Christmas parade. CBS7 will be bringing you coverage of the Jingle Bell Jubilee live tomorrow night on KWWT My 30 starting at 6:45. Be sure to tune in and stick around because we've got more details on the parade coming up in just a few minutes. Now to that story. You'll only see it here on CBS7. A Vietnam veteran is returning home after he was killed over 50 years ago. Yesterday, Ron Forrester's family was told that his remains were finally identified and they're heading back to Texas. Captain Ronald W. Forrester was a native Odessan who joined the Marine Corps in 1969 as a bombardier navigator on the A-6A. In 1972, something happened to Forrester's plane, changing his status to missing in action.
Yeah, growing up, I really wanted my dad to come home. That was my greatest wish. And sometime in my early 20s, I became very afraid that if he were alive, that maybe he was being hurt. I didn't like the idea that he had been a prisoner for that long, maybe for feeling betrayed by his country or feeling forgotten by his family. That became a big fear for me.
Thankfully, Ron was not forgotten. During an excavation done by the DPAA in northern Vietnam, 12 bone fragments were found along with 2 teeth, the dog tag for the pilot of the plane, and Ron's gas card.
He said the day has come. They made a positive DNA match to your dad. Anything that's happened since we lost him, we know that he's been in the arms of the Lord, and we don't have to be fearful any longer that he was held prisoner, any of those types of things. So getting this kind of answer really calms a lot of fears.
Ron's bone fragments will be brought back home here to Texas, where his family will finally have their chance to say a proper goodbye. We're looking across West Texas now. The Permian Strategic Partnership is celebrating its 5th anniversary. In those first 5 years, the PSP has invested $160 million towards projects in the area. The Permian Strategic Partnership has 5 areas they aim to help out in the Permian Basin to improve the quality of life: education, healthcare, workforce, road safety, and housing. They've been important in investing in projects like IDEA Public Schools, the Permian Basin Behavioral Health Center, Skill Point Alliance Investments, and more.
What can we do in this area, which is a national treasure, and to develop it and to make sure that this potential continues to reap benefits for the people of Texas in this region for the future.
The PSP has also partnered with state and federal leaders, particularly concerning road conditions in West Texas.
What I'm doing is I'm trying to bring the state dollars to bear on improving the roads, improving the engineering, so that the fatalities in the Permian Basin area go down dramatically.
PSP has received help in the past 5 years from 27 organizations. 25 of those are energy companies and the other 2 are university systems. Down the road in Tahoka, Angela Means, who played Felicia in the 1995 film Friday, has opened up Jackfruit Cafe, a new vegan restaurant in the heart of a small town. Natalie Fulkenberry from our sister station KCBD in Lubbock has more.
All right, you guys are good to go? Here we are, opening day.
From the big screen to Tahoka, Angela Means, who's best known for her role in the film Friday, tells us she became a vegan 10 years ago after battling health problems and gaining weight.
I'm a farm girl. I grew up on a farm right outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Vegetables was my life, so I went right back to it.
Means says after owning multiple successful vegan restaurants in Los Angeles, her son, who was an athlete, graduated from college, and she was now an empty nester. She tells us that's when she told her son she was ready for something fresh.
Mama can leave California now. I'm good on California. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "You should look at Texas." And I was like, "I ain't going to no Texas. What are you talking about, Texas?" Well, here I am.
Why Tahoka, you might ask? Well, for Means, it was simple.
And I drove around the city. I'm getting ready to start crying. This town just, I was just meant to be here. I was seriously meant to be here.
Although Means had planned on peacefully retiring in the small community, she says the future home of Jackfruit Cafe just seemed to be the perfect fit.
I drove past this. My son's number was 15. The address is 1515.
On Friday, Means opened the first vegan cafe in Tahoka. She says while she knows the food is different than what West Texans are used to.
I'm in Texas. I know where I am. Let's just try. That's all I'm asking. Just come try the food.
And as you leave Jackfruit Cafe, you might even get a
bye, Felicia.
Natalie Falkenberry, KCBD News Channel 11.
The Jackfruit Cafe will be open for lunch 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. In the state, despite a judge's ruling in her favor this week, a woman is still seeking what her lawyer calls the life-saving care she needs. Laura Aguirre has more on this controversy that could eventually impact similar cases across the nation.
There's no outcome here that I take home my healthy baby girl.
Kate Cox and her doctors know her fetus has a genetic abnormality that is almost always fatal before or soon after birth. The pregnancy also puts Cox's life at risk, her doctor says, and threatens her future ability to have children. But in Texas, abortions are banned after 6 weeks, and Cox is in her second trimester. A judge granted her a medical exceptions abortion in a virtual hearing Thursday, saying that if Cox's case doesn't merit a medical exception,
would be a genuine miscarriage of justice.
Yet the state of Texas says Cox's case doesn't meet the state standards for medical exceptions. And Attorney General Ken Paxton said in a statement, the judge's ruling will not insulate hospitals, doctors, or anyone else from civil and criminal liability for violating Texas abortion laws.
What the Attorney General is saying is that he values this non-viable pregnancy of hers more than her own life and her future children.
Cox's attorney pointing out the ramifications go far beyond her client's case.
The Attorney General is going to threaten every physician who tries to rely on the exception to provide life-saving care to their patients.
For now, Cox's fight to get her court-granted abortion continues.
What we have in Texas is a total abortion ban that subjects physicians to life in prison and loss of their medical license, and that should be deeply troubling to all citizens of Texas, as well as people around the country.
I'm Laura Aguirre for CBS7 First Alert News.
Almost a year ago, we brought you coverage about West Texas boxer Abel Mendoza traveling to South Korea. Well, in just a few days, he'll be traveling to Russia for his next boxing bout. He will be traveling to the dangerous country without his training staff to fight the #1 boxer in Russia. So far, Mendoza has had an undefeated career, but next week's fight might just be the toughest match he's ever faced.
It's very important to me to win this fight because, you know, he's won a lot of international tournaments. He's won a lot of competitions internationally. So beating a guy like that is good to me.
The big fight is next Saturday, December 16th. In your education news now, Midland ISD is expanding its robotics program so that every grade at every school can participate. The expansion will create teams for 5th graders starting this year and students as young as 1st grade starting next year. MISD is also working to recruit teachers to lead robotics programs across the district. And they say nothing in life is free, but tonight, Odessans were able to get a free hot meal at HEB's annual Feast of Sharing. The Feast of Sharing is a way for the community to celebrate the holidays together with a free hot meal. The event, held at the Ector County Coliseum and emceed by my co-anchor Jay Hendricks, is a favorite every year for many Odessans.
So this really gives an opportunity for us to give a hot meal and a nice holiday evening to families who may not always have that opportunity. So we just want to be able to give back. We live here, so we help here.
Yesterday, HEB also delivered meals to homebound seniors as part of their Feast of Sharing initiative. Now for a look at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all of these stories and more by downloading our app or going to our website, CBS7.com. And still ahead, we've got everything you need to know about the Midland Christmas Parade happening tomorrow night. Don't go anywhere. Christmas spirit continues to shine throughout West Texas. We have already had 2 tree lightings between Odessa and Midland, 1 parade in Odessa, and it is not over yet. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the Midland Christmas Parade is tomorrow, and every year it has a new theme. This year's theme is Jingle Bell Jubilee. So everyone in the parade will decorate their floats with their interpretation of that theme. Plus, Santa will be at Wadley Barron Park ready to take pictures with anyone who wants to stop by. They should have at least 80 total entries in this year's parade.
So far, we're probably looking at about anywhere from 40 to 60 floats. And then, you know, you have bands, you have car clubs, and you also have, we have the returning winner from last year, which was a Zumba. They did very well, very well.
The parade route will run along A Street, starting at Windlands Park and traveling all the way to Midland High School.
Well, we are going to be looking at some chilly conditions for the Jingle Bell Jubilee Christmas Parade in Midland. We'll talk a little more about that and the other effects of this cold front up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we are going to be looking at a cold front arriving later tonight, and that's going to bring some chill to the weekend forecast. This is not Midland, it is Odessa. But we are looking at the community Christmas tree in Odessa over off of Grandview. Get back, drive by and look at that. And again, pretty sight out there. Showing us a pretty quiet evening as we don't have too much in the way of wind across the area. Gust up to 28 right now at Guadalupe Pass, gust to 38 in the Carlsbad area. As we do have this storm system passing to our north in the upper levels, surface low moving across the Texas Panhandle, and with it, here comes a cold front. We have this good northwesterly flow in the upper levels, so that's going to bring some chilly air to the forecast coming up for Saturday and really into Sunday. Great Christmas shopping weather. Just be sure to bundle up, and it's going to be a dry forecast. Big reason why is we had a dry line set up to our east. There's even a couple of thunderstorms across portions of southeast Oklahoma associated with that as that front starts to whip down. Of course, we're on the dry side of everything right now as that dry line has us cut off from any Gulf moisture as this front whips down across the northern Permian Basin into the central Permian Basin here over the next couple of hours. We're just going to see breezy conditions come around to the north and that chillier air start to roll in. Already 47 in Lubbock, 41 in Amarillo. So you can see some of the colder stuff is starting to trickle down and into the Permian Basin here over the next few hours. Now, the West Texas Futurecast winds showing you that, again, we are going to be looking at more of a north wind in the forecast as we head in towards the next 24 hours. And that is going to be rather gusty coming up tomorrow evening. So wind chill values could be down into the 30s for your Saturday evening across the area before we see a little less wind in our forecast coming up on Sunday. Rest of tonight, again, winds come around to the northwest and north towards morning as we are going to be looking for those temperatures into the mid-40s. Tomorrow, looking at those temperatures again, starting off chilly, only about 50, maybe 52 for the afternoon high across the Permian Basin tomorrow, as we could see some areas of blowing dust due to those north winds be rather gusty, upwards to 35 to 40 miles an hour. So all in all, a cold and blustery Jingle Bell Jubilee Christmas Parade in Midland tomorrow evening. Then we'll see things remain rather chilly on Sunday before we see a little bit of a moderation in temperatures. And then we'll see the next cold front arrive Wednesday into Thursday. Possibly some rain showers and continuation of the chilly temperatures in our forecast.
Coming up later, high school basketball action in Midland. See the Bulldogs and the Permian Panthers up next in sports on CBS 7 News at 9.
Time now for CBS 7 First Alert Sports.
It is tournament season for high school basketball. Games are going on all day, all across West Texas. And some of our biggest schools are playing in Midland. Jerry Brooks Davis was there and brings us a recap.
The Tall City Oil Bands Classic continued in Midland today. Permian taking on Caprock in Game 1 this morning. Jacob Saldivar kicks it over to Josiah McCowan, who steps in for a three and he cashes it in from downtown. Later on, Ben Saldivar on the break, he takes it by himself to the cup and he lays it in for 2 points. The transition game was working for Permian. Saldivar, he misses the layup, but it gets rebounded by Rael Moses. He puts it up and he puts it in, and one, count the basket. Now let's check out the Panthers' passing game. Laurel Powell, on a spin move, he drops it in over to Moses, who floats it in for 2 points. If you give, you also get, right? Powell, he gets the pass and he cashes in on a 3-ball, but the big story today was Moses. After a Powell miss, Moses grabs the rebound and puts it back up and in. He led the way with 19 points as the Panthers got the win 72-54. And right afterward, the Midland High Bulldogs took on Lubbock Cooper. The ball gets swung over to Taekwon Satterwhite, who drops a 3 from long range. Now Midland High's passing game was working well for them. They get it over to Luke Colwell. He drops the layup off the assist from Dwayne Bush. Now the Bulldogs would trail in the second half and they needed a spark. Kendrick Cooks, he drives down the middle and he finishes at the basket, plus he gets fouled, count it, and one. But the outside game provided a statement for Big Purple. Blade Brandon, he gets the pass in the corner, he pops a 3 and splashes it from distance. Now why just one? Let's make it 2 for Brandon. He was on fire from distance. It was contagious for Midland High as Satterwhite, he joined in on the 3-point party, but the Bulldogs, they would fall to Lubbock Cooper 60-59.
Thank you very much, Jair. Still ahead, if you're a hockey fan or just a fan of helping out a good cause, we've got the event for you. Coming up next on CBS 7 News at 9. Well, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow and you don't want to go to the Midland Parade, we have something else for you. Tomorrow is the Odessa Jackalopes Teddy Bear Toss game. So Still going to be cold either place,
Yeah,
but
that's
not quite as cold actually in the stadium. All fans are encouraged to bring stuffed animals with them to the game. When the Jacks score their first goal, all of the stuffed animals are then thrown onto the ice, and then the toys are gathered up and donated to local charities to help kids in need. This might be well, I wouldn't even say might be, Tom. This is my favorite time of the year for many reasons, but one of those reasons is that there are really so many ways that you can give back depending on what you care about, what you want to do, and every single one of them is fun and just a great opportunity to go and help some kids. So if you want, pick up a couple stuffed animals and head to the Jackalopes game.
Yeah, there's a lot of generous people out here in West Texas and Southeast
really
of
are.
Mexico that are going to help out all these drives. And tomorrow is just another way to give back. They're at the Teddy Bear Toss for the Jackalopes. We're going to be out at the Jingle Bell Jubilee coming up in Midland, the parade tomorrow evening. Well, things are going to be a little chilly, about 47 degrees, wind chills into the 30s. And it's going to stay cold really over the weekend with a dry forecast. If you want some moisture with your cold temperatures, just wait till next week when we have a strong cold front rolling in and a few showers in our forecast. So definitely some fireplace weather coming up.
We're going to need some hot chocolate and the fireplace and a lot of layers. All right, thanks so much for watching us here for CBS 7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW. We've got more news at 10.